And is it true? And is it true? This most tremendous tale of all, seen in a stained glass window's hue, a baby in an ox's stall, the maker of the stars and sea, become a child on earth for me? For if it is, no love that in a family dwells, no carolling in the frosty air, nor all the steeples shaking bells, can with this simple truth compare, that God was man in Palestine and lives today in bread and wine. When Sir John Betjeman wrote these two paragraphs in his 1950s poem Christmas, he gave, I think, a remarkably honest and frank account not only of his personal faith and doubts, but also of what is so centrally important in the Christian celebration of Christmas. And is it true? Shows to me no attempt to hide any sort of doubts that he has. And much of his other religious poems focus around the wrestling that he has, not so much, I think, with whether God exists or not, but whether the Gospels detail accurately everything they claimed Jesus was and did. It is an interesting question, therefore, I think, to reflect on what these verses say about what his faith looked like and what it was in. And I want to take a look at some more poems of Betjeman's who I think may not have been the most original or intelligent poet, but whose words and writings managed to strike a very common and familiar chord with many of us who read them. For reasons of copyright, I cannot unfortunately recite a poem in full, so I'm going to be using some very short extracts. Miss J. Hunter Dunn, Miss J. Hunter Dunn, furnished and burnished by Aldershot's sun, what strenuous singles we played after tea, we in the tournament, you against me. Love 30, love 40, oh, weakness of joy, the speed of a swallow, the grace of a boy, with carefulest carelessness gaily you won. I am weak from your loveliness, Joan Hunter Dunn. In the Subaltern's love song, we have too, I think, a very real way in which love is portrayed here. No flowery language particularly, or complicated thoughts. No, oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. But instead we can build up in our own minds a sense perhaps many of us have felt of being overcome by love, besotted. I am weak from your loveliness, Joan Hunter Dunn. This is an example of love in an idealized form, in a beautifully plain way that many of us can relate to. I can almost hear Betjeman recounting this story from his childhood, not trying to paint a gloss over it or push forward an agenda, but just opening up the true feelings which he felt at the time. But there is a melancholy side to Betjeman, and I think we see this in what is probably his most notorious poem. Come, friendly bombs, fall on Slough, it isn't fit for humans now. There isn't grass to graze a cow, swarm over death. Come bombs and blow to smithereens, those air-conditioned bright canteens, tinned fruit, tinned meat, tinned milk, tinned beans, tinned mines, tinned breath. I should say at this point that recitation of this poem is by no means an endorsement of its words, but apart from the references made to violence, at the core of what Betjeman is talking about, I think, is a real lamentation of the removal of the soul from the town. All character, charm and beauty that was once there is, as Betjeman describes, gone. In place of humans, homes and shop fronts. Betjeman sees workers, units, and factories. Unlike the two previous poems I have referenced, here I see a Betjeman keen to strike a sort of call to action. Instead of dwelling happily on thoughts of Christmas joy and remembered love, we have grim characteristics described of the decline of an urban dwelling. Betjeman always has tried to strike a real note to the life which we live and the things which we have seen and experienced. But of course, not all life is love and beauty. How did the devil come? When first attack? These Norfolk lanes recall lost innocence. The years fall off and find me walking back, dragging a stick along the wooden fence down this same path where 40 years ago my father strolled behind me, calm and slow. The poem Norfolk is a sad example of reminiscence, looking back to times we loved, looking back to people we valued spending time with, looking back to warm feelings we felt. It is for me a reminder to enjoy the time which we do have with the people we love, to be grateful for those memories which we do have. The rest of the poem provides a lovely tourist biography for Norfolk, but in a sense the words transcend all counties. I wonder if there are places where we, all of us, whatever our ages, look back on and smile over, but also which we may also shed a tear. I can remember walking past my own school last Easter and not being able to re-walk my old route there without a flood of memories pouring in for almost every paving slab in the route on the way there. And looking over at my school buildings from the top of a grassy hill, which by this point were completely empty inside. It was the Easter holidays, I think. And I saw myself sort of in the buildings, running and playing between them over the steel fence that lay between them and me. And Betjeman here combines the happy, the melancholy, the grateful and the regretful, reminding us all to be happy in the moment and calling us all back to our youth. I recalled at the start Betjeman's poem Christmas, a beautiful poem showing his faith and his doubt. And I would like to end particularly with Monday just gone, having been the feast day of St. Paul, with Betjeman's poem about St. Paul's conversion. And as I do, I would invite all of us to, regardless really, whether or not you have faith or whether or not you don't, to think about what Betjeman is really saying about the nature of faith for him. And also with me too, to really feel free to say Amen to Betjeman's ending prayer. What is conversion? Turning round to gaze upon a love profound. For some of us, see Jesus plain and never once look back again. And some of us have seen and known and turned and gone away alone. But most of us turn slow to see the figure hanging on a tree and stumble on and blindly grope, upheld by intermittent hope. God grant, before we die, we all may see the light, as did St. Paul. Amen.